And I feel like going to watching wrestling in person, wrestling gets a bad rap for being like, one, for being fake, and two, for being like for kids and silly and over the top. Whereas I feel like watching it, I was like, oh, this is heightened theatre. This is exactly the thing I love, but just like taken to the max. And yeah, I had a real appreciation for the acting that goes into it too.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. If you're a returning listener, thank you for coming back for more. On today's episode, we talk singing, dancing, acting, and wrestling. Rising stars Zoe Ioannou and Luke Leong-Tay join us to talk about their roles in the premiere production of the new Australian musical, Dubbo Championship Wrestling. Zoe and Luke sit down to share their experiences of incorporating a new genre never before seen in a musical, as well as the intensity and care that goes into producing new feats of talent in a changing theatre landscape. As usual, you can find all of our content on our Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok socials at Theatre Thoughts AUS. So, channel your favourite wrestling persona and prepare yourself for something entirely new in this episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. Welcome everyone to the new episode of Theatre Thoughts Podcast. We have a very exciting episode today. We're talking a new Australian musical with our two stars. We have Zoe Ioannou and Luke Leong-Tay. Welcome to the episode. Just a quick bit of background about the two of you. So Zoe, you're a graduate from NIDA. You've recently appeared in West Side Story and The Wizard of Oz, and I didn't know you made your TV debut on Disney Playhouse, and you had an ongoing guest role of Paige in the ABC TV series Dance Academy. That's awesome. And Luke, I didn't realize I saw you as Igor in Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein was my favorite show of 2021, hands down. So you're a Chinese-Australian actor, you're a musician and a writer, and you studied Bachelor of Musical Theatre at WAAPA. And was Igor your debut role in the Sydney theatre scene?
Yeah, it was. It was my first professional theatre gig at all.
Nailed it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, moving up in the world.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was like, I love Young Frankenstein as it is, but then when I saw that, it was actually, to be honest, I felt bad because it was my first show I'd ever seen at the Hayes. So when I walked in, I was like, oh, this is the Hayes that everyone talks about. And I was like, it's very small. How are they going to do it on this stage?
That's the thing with the Hayes. They pick the biggest productions and they always find a way to make it work, like a wrestling show.
Exactly. So on that, you guys are currently rehearsing for Dubbo Championship Wrestling, which opens on the 13th of May. How are rehearsals going? You guys are currently there at the moment.
We are indeed. Rehearsals are intense, but also extremely rewarding because we're marrying our singing, dancing, and acting within the musical, but then also learning to wrestle, like a completely new skill that we did not learn at WAAPA or NIDA. So in the rehearsal period, we're learning a brand new skill, which is really exciting.
Yeah, there are definitely a couple, like, I can't believe we're getting paid for this moment because it's really playful and it's really fun working on new work.
Yeah,
I think. Like, I love being able to have a discussion about why things are written the way they are and being able to like work with the writer, with the creatives to massage it into the best version it can be.
I guess that's rare as a performer. You don't get to like kind of see a new work from its birth and get to contribute and mold it and have your own little say on the takes, I suppose.
Yeah, especially within Australia, because a lot of our commercial productions are the original Broadway cast, and so because we these roles have never been played before, we do get to make it our own. And even with the wrestling, like, okay, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, it's all that communication. So yeah, I think it's a very rewarding experience for Australian actors to work on a brand new Australian work. Especially
when you have to wrestle as well, because when you hear about this show, you go, singing, yeah, musical, singing, dancing, acting, wrestling? Oh, okay. And now this isn't like, because you see in musicals and they'll have like a wrestling ring and in some part of the show and they'll do like a couple of fake like, and throws and that. But this isn't that. This is real wrestling.
Real wrestling. Like we're working the amazing Tim Dashwood, who's our fight choreographer and coordinator. And we had to do like a full 3-day intense workshop, purely just learning the techniques of fighting. We start off with drills and warm-ups specifically to work on like falling safely. And we just drilled them over and over. And so working from the ground up and really doing some technically difficult moves that are what real wrestlers do.
Zoe and I are also very thorough, competent young actors and went to watch some amateur wrestling.
We did. We did.
No way.
Yeah. We've seen a few productions.
Where did you go? I went to AWF Pinfalls at some town hall, and it was absolutely wild.
Yeah, I saw at the Metro Theatre, PWA, which is a professional, which was like next level. And I think just watching like the pros do it, it was just, and also like, oh, we learned how to do that. We learned how to do that. Yeah. It was like a little kid watching like dancers or actors for the first time, like, oh, I did that. And so
being able to also be like, oh, I'm going to steal that and use that in the show.
Yeah, I think also like having a deeper appreciation for how hard it is.
Oh, because
like,
it's so hard.
It's so hard. It's like, it's really intense. And when you learn, like we've only kind of just started learning it, but some of the things that professional wrestlers do, it's, you have a deeper appreciation for how challenging it is. Watching it.
And how much goes into it. And I like what you said about seeing moves that you perform in and you go, oh, I'm going to steal that. Because it's like watching a very brutal dance.
100%. And I think like the best way to describe it is it's like partner work in dancing. Because if you're not in sync with your other partner, or as they call it, their opponents, then these tricky lifts can go terribly wrong. So it's just basically like partner work, but a very intense level of that.
And I feel like going to watching wrestling in person, wrestling gets a bad rap for being like, one, for being fake, and two, for being like for kids and silly and over the top. Whereas I feel like watching it, I was like, oh, this is heightened theatre. This is exactly the thing I love, but just like taken to the max. And yeah, I had a real appreciation for the acting that goes into it too.
Oh yeah, it's the technique married with the performance, which is ironically what we do in musical theatre. Yeah. And I think that's why what Dan and James Cullen have done with creating a musical about wrestling is so genius. And I'm like, why hasn't it been done before? It's ironic how many things parallels there are to what we do as actors.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually, I wrote this in my review for American in Paris because we went to the premiere last night, and I've never seen a ballet in my entire life, but it was so beautiful how it brings this art form that is very similar to all the other art forms in theatre, musical theatre, and so on. And I think this is the same. Like you said, like wrestling's just a heightened sense of the theatrical, and you're bringing it into this new mode. And I think musical theatre is very special that it can do these things. It can lift and present new things to people that have never seen them before.
Absolutely. There's so much heart in wrestling. There's moral black and white. There's justice. There's injustice when the villains cheat, when the refs looking the other way. God, it's juicy.
It's the stories, and when they're performed so in sync and so beautifully. I guess my naivety, not knowing wrestling before I even started the show, I thought the appreciation that I have now for it has just grown dramatically, because now when you watch the pros and even like the Randy Savages and Hulk Hogan's and you follow their dramatic stories from the acting point of view, it's like, why are the crowd so involved when they know it's kayfabe, as we call it, being fake? And it's not. They're bringing this true drama that's just like a soap opera, and it's amazing how engaged the audiences are by the end, and even like throughout their whole
It's
careers.
incredible. That's so incredible, isn't it? Well, actually, on that, let's get to Dubbo Championship Wrestling so we kind of get a bit of context, because we could talk about this for ages. So, Dubbo Championship Wrestling, it's a new Australian musical. It's written by Daniel Cullen and James Cullen, and you're being directed by the amazing Sheridan Harbridge as well. So you got a massive team behind you guys. Could you, in a nutshell, just kind of give us the essential details, who you're playing and the basic plot?
So I guess Dubbo Championship Wrestling is a new Aussie rock musical, and it is a show about acceptance and identity. I play Rose in the show, a young girl originally hailing from Dubbo but living in Sydney. When things occur whereby I have to come back to Dubbo and to my dad's failing wrestling promotion, a battle between family and identity begins.
Yeah, that was very concise.
That was very good, wasn't it?
I am playing Ron, who is the entire opposite of Rose, in that he is from Sydney and moved to Dubbo by choice because he loves that small town life. And he's doing wrestling because he loves it at the amateur wrestling league, which is failing. Ron is forced to play Mr. Multicultural, who is a relic from the 80s. Wrestling, particularly like WWE, that kind of wrestling was full of really racist stereotypes, particularly back in the day. And Ron's character, he is forced into this role by the people who run it. But that's not who he wants to be. He has a character he's worked on, who he's going to put forward. I think there's a good interrogation of, look at these crappy, we can't ignore this part of wrestling history and also Australian history, but let's provide an example of how things could be better.
Yeah, and I guess through both of our very different journeys at the beginning of the show, we kind of come together and meet, and
there might be some romance involved. Who knows? Who
knows? And a lot of headlocks and
yeah,
kicks and punches.
Wow! So it's got a lot of things in there, and the rock music. Now you said it's a rock musical, so the music. How would you describe, or how do you think the music really marries up to what you guys are doing?
It's like, think late 80s, early 90s Aussie rock. What I love most about the music is wrestling in itself is loud and punchy, and the music articulates that so beautifully. So you've got like punk rock, even depending on the different characters that come out in the wrestling shows, like we've got a bit of country, even a bit of disco. So there's like heaps of different styles of rock and just music in general of the late 80s, early 90s within the show.
I would say it's like the best kind of music theatre underscore in terms of it punctuates the moments and it really makes you feel something. It aids in the storytelling. I think, as you said before, wrestling and musical theatre are really a great mix.
Yeah, and like when you go to a wrestling match, the crowd and the vibe and how the audience gets involved, we've got a little bit of that, and just that energy and that punch, and just be prepared for some loud-mouthed fun, I'd say.
Actually, you said something interesting there about the audience interaction, because I'm wondering now, because when Sydney audiences, like sometimes we're like, oh, should we say something? Should we like be vocal? Are we loud? So do you think they're going to be a little bit shy to maybe like cheer and jeer, or do you guys kind of aid that or cheer, like kind of get them to do it?
It will be very clear when they should and should not join in. Yeah.
So do vocal warm-ups.
Excellent. It just came to me because you do see audiences where they go, oh, you can't speak in theatre, but this is I'm just picturing it in my head now. This is the part where you go, oh yeah, get in and just go for it.
All the boundaries and all the rules, and I think that's what's so special about this show is we are breaking every rule under the sun that was formed in musical theatre.
Yeah, we set up from the very top that like, oh yeah, you have permission to be loud and raucous. In fact, you're going to be encouraged to be loud and raucous.
The word is out, the Theatre Thoughts Monthly is here, and it's your chance to get exclusive giveaways, podcast episodes, reviews, and more direct to your inbox. Don't wait until next month. Get this month's Theatre Thoughts Monthly now. It takes 2 seconds to sign up. Simply head to the link in this episode's description and select the Theatre Thoughts Monthly option to fill in your details. It's that simple. You'll receive links direct to this month's edition of Charlotte's Cheap Thrills, early access to an exclusive giveaway only for Theatre Thoughts subscribers, and the early goss on our next massive star on the podcast. Now, let's get back to today's episode. And what's it been like working with Sheridan?
Oh,
She's the bomb. She is the absolute bomb.
She's a dream.
Her energy is... I was going to say this to her the other day. Her energy is, I'm a naughty kid and I've got a secret and I'm not going to tell you. That's her energy. And
like, it's very special working with someone like Sheridan, who's an actor's director, because she is an actor herself and she's a brilliant one at that. And so she gets very involved, and like that naughty kid, she gets excited and passionate about each scene. And just her involvement, like physically, she'll get into the ring, she'll try things herself, which is really important for us as well, and to see it as well, and for her to really paint her vision of the show. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Also, I'd add that she encourages bold offers. Even if it's not right, she makes us feel really safe.
Very safe.
She always checks in with you personally about everything you have to do in the show and just how you're feeling. She's so true. She's really awesome.
She's honestly the dream director that any actor could wish for.
Wow, high praise. Wow. Do you guys have any stories about rehearsals, like maybe something that you were like nervous about, or maybe something that went wrong and you were like, oh, how do I fix that? Or because obviously this is a very different rehearsal room than anything we've ever seen.
Well, nothing's gone horrifically wrong so far. Touch wood.
I think like the peak of my career so far is seeing Genevieve Lemon bash up Terry Serio.
It's pretty funny.
She makes me pause everything that comes out of Genevieve Lemon's mouth. I become a very bad actor because I just laugh. I can't not. I think that the fun that we're having, and there's always jokes and there's always silliness, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, the cast has all been really great to work with as well.
Yeah.
It's just been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I was a bit nervous coming into it because the wrestling I'd seen in WWE, I was a bit nervous being like, oh my God, do I have to do those stunts 8 times a week? And luckily, with the direction of Tim Dashwood, we have found an achievable show to do 8 times a week. Because normally the wrestlers we saw would do it once a month.
Yeah, some do I've had a lot of contact with Robbie Eagles, who is an amazing Australian wrestler, and he kind of said a lot of the Aussie wrestlers do once a month, and so they've got all that time to recover. Whereas he goes over to Japan for half the year and he does one show every day. And so it's so ironic because it's like our tour life as Australian music theatre performers when we go on tour and we're doing a show a day and then going to the next city, and just finding those cross parallels is amazing. The physical intensity that he says his body is under. There's a lot of sacrifices of normal life. But it was very inspiring to say that's the gig and it's what I love, and it's so ironic because that's exactly what we do with our careers.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating when you think about that, because it's when I see professional theatre in itself and I go, they do that 8 times a day, 2 times a day, or 8 times a week, 2 times a day some days, like how the hell? But you guys are wrestling on top of that, like the caution you'd have to take and the care you'd have to take be so much more intense.
Yeah, there's lots of strict warm-ups and lengthy warm-ups. And also just I think training and strengthening the right muscles, because there's lots of abdominal work and also neck work to do the falls, whereas that kind of goes against what we have to do as singers. So we're kind of strengthening but also wanting to stretch and relax. And so I think we're finding our ways of how to make it sustainable as well.
Totally.
And Tim's been really awesome with that, choreographing authentic wrestling matches, but also with sustainability in mind.
Yeah. Do you guys actually do? I should have checked prior to the show. Do you guys do a 2-show day?
We do.
Oh my God, you guys are incredible. It's just give me heart palpitations thinking about it.
Fine line with the double show days, because you want to rest your body, but also keep it warm. And I think every performer has their own routine. Some like to have a nap for the 3-hour break, and some people like to go to the gym and just keep their muscles moving and engaged. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing once we're in the theatre next week, is to find what works for us. I think
I'm a napper for sure.
You're a napper?
Yeah.
Sometimes I go for like a light jog just to keep it's more so my mind awake, because if I like clock off, my body's like, oh, we're going home. So, you're a napper.
Yeah, but then, I warm back up. I do my serious young actor.
Can you do like a really good 10-minute nap and then just be like, I'm ready for another 10 hours?
Yeah.
Damn.
Young crank, I'd set my alarm. I just like on the couch, still like face full of clown makeup. I love it. Then I went back to the theatre.
Mad respect you do. Like, I wish I could nap.
No, I'm not a napper either. I got into the habit of doing the 90-minute ones, because that's like the full REM cycle, and that's the only ones I can do. If I do anything less, I'm ruined.
Gosh. Well, you're going to be sweet.
I'll show you how it's done. Yeah.
It's raining at the moment, so what am I going to do? I'll probably just sleep in the room and just like manifest my body coming back to life.
Very method.
Yeah, it's very dramatic.
I love that. Well, did you guys want to play my game? Okay, well, I've never done a game on the podcast. This is all very new.
No, I suck. So we're going to win hands down.
It's called Guess the Real Wrestler's Name. So I've gone and scoured the internet for real wrestlers' names, and I've chucked in a couple of my own fake ones. So we're going to see out of the two of you who can get the most correct answers of which one's the real wrestler's name.
Let's do this.
Oh, we're playing Guess the Wrestler with Zoe and Luke. Welcome to the game show. Okay, so the rules of the game. So basically, I'm going to tell you the names. You can guess between you which one's which. Lock in your answers, and then we'll see who gets the most points. Round 1. So you got 3 names. First one is Scotty Too Hottie with a 2. Snots McGee or Bone Crusher Bill.
My guess is Scotty Too Hottie, because that's such a crappy name that I can only assume it's real, that you didn't make it up. That's my guess.
I'm going to go with the second one.
Snots McGee.
Okay, I can tell you that it is Scotty Too Hottie. That's 1 for Luke. Scotty Too Hottie. Apparently he was on WWE. I didn't know that.
Oh.
Okay, round 2. We've got, these are the ones with the middle names. So someone, the something, someone. So you have Cameron the Miserable Macintosh, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and Zach Mums Bolger.
Zach Mums Bolger.
I'm going to go with 3. Am I going to regret that?
No, I'm going with Zach Mums Bolger too. That's too weird. It's too weird to be fake.
I can tell you that it is Brutus the Barber Beefcake. So that's a 0 for the both of you. And then Cameron was my own little fun one. I was like, Les Mis. Now, this one, I didn't make this up. This is something that I literally found. So, Luke, you're so far on 1. Zoe, you're on 0. Round 3. Just Incredible, Just in Time, Just in Case.
3.
1. Just Incredible.
It is Just Incredible.
Damn.
Smashing it.
I thought that too obvious.
Very good.
Like, wouldn't they be copyright?
Well, like Just in Time, isn't that a Justin Timberlake movie? Right? I'm thinking of About Time.
About Time featuring Justin, yeah. Okay, Zoe, it's your chance to redeem yourself. You got 1 point. So we have Vomit Truck Tim, Belly Rub Ben, or Bastion Booger.
All the beans.
Can you repeat them again?
So it's Vomit Truck Tim, Belly Rub Ben, or Bastion Booger.
I'm going to go with number 2.
I'm going with 1. Vomit.
Okay, it is Bastion Booger. So none of you got that one. But Luke, that means you win the first ever game on the Theatre Thoughts podcast. Congratulations! That was very embarrassing for me, but a lot of fun. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast to chat to us today. I'm personally, this is and I'm not lying, this is my most anticipated production of the year, just because this is new, it's never been done, and the wrestling. I'm just very excited to see you guys wrestle.
Oh, thank you. No, we are very excited for people to get to see the show.
Yeah, it's
it should be a ripper.
Yeah, it's the rock music, the loud mouth fun. There's F-bombs, Aussie slang, but like it also paints such a beautiful representation of A, regional Australia, and B, wrestling. I think that it's a very people don't really understand, or they're not educated on the art of wrestling. And I think that what we're going to provide Aussie audiences is a really authentic version of.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and all the best. And I can't wait to see you guys when you premiere.
Thanks
Can't
so
wait
much,
to see you
Justin.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you to Michelle Guthrie for helping to organise today's episode, and a massive thank you to Zoe and Luke for joining us on the podcast. To learn more about Dubbo Championship Wrestling, you can head to this episode's description to listen to the concept album featuring stars such as Vijay McCann, Eddie Perfect, Lucy Durack, and David Campbell. Dubbo Championship Wrestling plays at the Hayes Theatre until Saturday the 11th of June and Riverside Parramatta from 16th of June to the 25th of June 2022. Tickets can be booked via hayestheatre.com.au, riversideparramatta.com.au, or by following the link in this episode's description. That's it for another episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. If you're looking to see more theatre in 2022 and consider yourself to be a writer, why not join our growing team of reviewers? We are currently on the lookout for new writers in Sydney and Melbourne to join our team. You'll gain great experience in writing reviews and expressing your opinions, plus you get to see theatre shows on us. If this sounds like you, email us at theatrethoughtsteam@outlook.com or by contacting us on our website, theatrethoughtsoz.online. And we'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.